So I've always kind of sucked at games like League of Legends, Valorant, and Overwatch. When the new Valve game Deadlock was announced, I knew I at least wanted to give it a try, but I assumed that I would suck at it, at least for the first while. I was lucky enough to have a friend offer to let me into the playtest, so after that, I jumped into it that same night. I loaded up a game and started with the tutorial. The character movement felt great. I was worried after reading the controls that my hands wouldn't feel comfortable with how I had to move them, and I wouldn't be able to hit all the needed buttons, but luckily that really wasn't a big issue. My shots weren't the greatest, but the feel reminded me of Overwatch, and that made me think I could get used to it. I decided to test out 𝕚𝕟𝕕 because she had my favorite character design. She turned out to be a sniper with the power to send crows out. They would either fly you up high or they would scout out targets. She was overall really fun to play. I loved the movement of the abilities. I would find myself searching for the high grounds in the tutorial, and her snare is something that I predict would be super useful in both the laning phase and the team fights. Once I felt comfortable with everything and I knew what numbers correlated to which abilities, I felt ready to jump into a real game. I was not ready. When you jump into the queue, you have to pick 3 agents, and I only knew a single one. I picked 2 more at random and just prayed I got the girl I tested. I did not get her. I ended up getting 𝕚𝕚𝕟𝕚. While running down to my lane, I was trying to figure out what he did, and I was failing. I tried my best just to focus on the little minions from the other team, and praying not to die when my other lane opponent would eventually show up. I think the only win in this entire phase was the fact that I was not the first lane to lose their guardian. While I was struggling to take in everything and figure out what my character did, I ended up dying a number of times, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, other than just being bad at aiming and moving in this game. Which, I mean, it was my first game, so I did give myself a break, and I just tried my best to learn from each death. I did know to keep an eye on the minimap, and I found my team merging for team fights, so I was not totally useless. I was able to jump in, and I just tried my best to heal as much as I could. I even tried to throw out some stuns to assist the fights, but I'm not sure if I was more helpful than that. I then realized I really should have watched some videos on Deadlock before jumping into the game, because I had no idea how I should be moving, what items should I be buying, and when to fall back other than simply watching my teammates on the minimap and just trying to copy them. No matter how hard I tried, I would sit in death screen after death screen until my team was eventually overthrown and we lost the game. I didn't do god-awful, but I did do pretty terribly. I did find the game super fun. The mix of a shooter with a MOBA was like League and Valorant had a baby. After my adventure with Valorant going from someone who spent more time spectating others than I did playing, to being game MVP with a duelist a lot of the time, I know I can eventually become decent at Deadlock too. I will be digging into YouTube videos and figuring out a handful of characters that I mesh with. Then, I need to look into builds so I know what to actually buy in the shop rather than just getting as much health and shields as possible and praying I could stay alive. Once I gain that knowledge, I just need some in-game time and then I will eventually get better. That's how it is for everybody. So, this is the beginning of my training arc for Deadlock that I will be dragging my friend into with me. So stay tuned, and hopefully I will have more videos showcasing my progression and improvement in the game. Wish me luck!